Welcome to another episode of the Fivefold right here on the Variety Sports Network. Got a couple of new faces in here tonight. I'm glad to have Jimmy in from far end of the bench. Jimmy, how you doing?
Just walking off some nervous energy. The other night didn't go well, so benefit of living out in Colorado is that I can go about 20 minutes from my house and find any kind of trail that I want. So I was able to burn off some steam, but I'm struggling. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I understand. It's been a rough 2 games for the Avalanche.
There's been like a hole that we just can't dig ourselves out of, and it's
Right.
been the same story every single year. Somebody's bigger than us. They can bully us around. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit. And then we also have Hannah from the Puck Princess podcast, part of the Boston. Let me see if I can get this right. I'm not going to get it right. Boston Entertainment Sports Network, right? Did I get it right?
Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I'm pretty sure. I'm very
Close
new,
enough.
but
Close
BSEN,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah, close enough. Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling a little rough after the last couple games.
Yeah.
Last game was not great, but overall I'm okay. We're Bruins in 7,
Yeah.
We'll get there.
You can't ooh, that's an interesting one. Can't be too I mean, yeah, you can. I guess you can be upset with the way the last couple games went. They've been pretty rough.
Yeah, but we're just letting the Panthers get that 3-1 lead, let them get comfortable, and then we'll knock them down.
Right.
Flip the script from
For
last year.
For sure. Alrighty. Brandon James, thanks for joining us as well tonight. Can you hear my dogs barking? I'm sorry. They're probably loud. Yeah, they're loud. That's what happens when there's 5 of them.
It happens.
Yeah. So, alrighty, let's get in some Stars Avalanche talk. Wait, maybe not. Yes, no. Yes, no. Jimmy, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Alrighty, cool. I don't know why I kicked you out, but all right.
Put me back on.
Jimmy, the Colorado Avalanche had a couple of rough ones. Game 3, Game 2
Am I back in it?
Yeah, you're back in here.
I'm not on the screen.
There you are.
Yeah, you are. You're on our side.
All right.
Yeah.
There we
You're
go.
good. You're good. So looking at this, so my first question to you. So Dallas has kind of had the edge of the last 2 games. What can Colorado do tonight to avoid the 3-1 series deficit?
I don't know what it's been the last few games, but like Game 2 in Dallas and Game 3 in Colorado, nobody's been able to handle a puck, which is strange for a professional hockey team. But it feels like every time the Avalanche go for something, there's a grenade on the other end of their stick, and it just blows up in their face. And Dallas, to their credit, takes advantage of every mistake. There's no reason we should have gone into. Now I'm switching into Game 3, and this is why I'm such a fanatic, because I just meld them all together. There was no reason in Game 3 we go down 1-0 at the end of the first period, other than the fact we have bad exchanges. We can't get a puck out of our zone because we can't hold on to anything, and they take advantage and wind up scoring a cheap one at the end of the first and totally sapped all the momentum out of your home building. Like, there's so many fixable errors, and they did those things in Game 1 after they went down 3-0. But I just don't understand why this team, like, we keep seeing glimpses that they're probably close to. They're definitely not as talented because that 2022 team was special, but like they're somewhat close. That 2022 team was consistent, and we got the same performance every single night. And sometimes the other teams were better, but this Avalanche team, it feels. I don't think that we've run up against a team that's better than us, but we've made so many bad mistakes in a lot of our games throughout this playoffs. Like, coming back from 3-4+ goals is cute in the regular season. It's what I used to say about the Panthers. But it's not sustainable, and you lose playoff games that way.
Yeah. So it's been, I was watching it was a Game 2, I think it was the other night, and Dallas said it was a 3-1 lead, 4-1 lead.
Yeah, it was a 3.
Right?
It was
3-1,
3-1, and then they scored one, make it 4-1, and then all of a sudden we go back and make it a 4-3 game at the end of it and have empty net situations. Like, that's the dumbest thing about being a fan of this team, is like we can take over so easily if we want to. And we used to do that whenever we wanted to. And now it's kind of like if somebody doesn't feel right, there's a weird vibe in the room. And it's been the captain not being there for the last 2 seasons. And yeah, he can be in the dressing room. It's different. If Ryan O'Reilly's not on the ice for the Blues in 2019, they don't win their cup. If the captain does not play for you and has not been consistently playing for you and has not been able to establish this tone, plus you bring in like 3-4 guys at the trade deadline, like how long until this team cracks mentally? And that's the worst place to be as a sports fan, because if you have to worry about the play on the ice, professionals can fix that. You have to worry about the play off the ice. There are professionals that can fix that, but that takes a lot longer and it's a lot more money.
Right. Yeah. From what I've seen so far, at least, it's really been one period for the Avalanche that have kind of been like their downfall. Any thoughts on that side of things? I mean, last game it was 2-1 going into the third period. Dallas scores 2 goals in the third.
Those are 2 empty net goals. I don't want anybody to blow that out of proportion. They did not score on Georgiev more than 2 times.
Yeah,
those were 2 empty net goals. There is no Forgiev anymore. Like those, whatever the hell happened in the game 1 against Winnipeg, that's not the guy that we're seeing between the pipes, which I'm happy for, because the guy deserves credit. Like, if you think about it, he sat behind Henrik Lundqvist, and then he had to sit behind Igor Shesterkin, and this was supposed to be the place that he's supposed to come in and take over, and he almost lost his position to a kid who's played 18 games in the NHL. Like, everybody was making the same argument, and they were all legitimate arguments as to why he should probably not see the net again. Ended up not going that way, and things have gone back and forth. But like, that guy, I would say out of everybody on the Avalanche, he's one playing with a lot of mental toughness.
Yeah. So do you think they stick with Georgie going into at least after tonight? I mean,
unless you get blown out 8-0 and he gives up like 4 of the easiest goals of all time, you can't. There hasn't been any reason since that first game in Winnipeg where you'd pull it. Yeah. I feel like there's, if you're going to make adjustments, you got to make adjustments on the upper side of the lineup. Cogliano, I know that he's only playing because Drouin's out, so Parise has to get bumped up. But Cogliano's showing his age. And 2 years ago in the playoffs, he played like he was 12 years younger. Like, certain things just don't break your way. And him being up and having to play, Parise having to play on line 2, and not being able to spread out that depth, there's sometimes where shifts get going. There's sometimes where we just get hemmed in and we're stuck in our defensive zone for too long. And when you're stuck in your defensive zone, bad things happen. You get tired. You can't handle things, and we just don't have that presence. I don't know any other way to describe it. Like, Landeskog being in this locker room, Landeskog being in the lineup and on the ice, I feel like I would have a better feeling. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm totally pessimistic. Like, I think the series is over. These are fixable mistakes. But like I'm saying, the fixable part of, like, the easy part to fix is the strategy and the hockey. Like, get pucks deep and make their 5 defensemen that they're trying to play with race back and forth to the goal line and the blue line. You can do those kinds of things to, like, put things on your advantage, especially when you're playing at elevation. We didn't get a single puck deep the other night. So why are we all of a sudden going away from that strategy? I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. And maybe it's just because we can't do it. Like, I've seen so many examples of teams that the Avalanche should be able to beat. They just gum up the neutral zone, and all of that speed and all of that talent just doesn't make it through. Yeah. They don't. They used to have. I mean, they had that sandpaper a couple of years ago. I thought Val was going to be somewhat close to that because of the way he's been playing. There's guys that can produce in this lineup. It's just a matter of somebody stepping up, and it doesn't always have to be McKinnon. Like, you can't rely to always be McKinnon, but somebody has to step up and drop the hammer on the table and say, this is what needs to happen, and this is how we need to play out the rest of the playoffs. Whether we lose because now we put ourselves in a deficit or not, we at least need to play Colorado Avalanche hockey, because a good majority of you guys are on free agent deals. We have to decide who we're keeping around. Like, Sean Walker was a guy that I wanted to sign for whatever he wanted a couple weeks ago. And I would say that there's a little bit more discussion. Like, there are guys in the locker room, whether this series goes the way that you want it to or not, that need to play for their futures, and they need to put a good product out on the ice. And there has not been a good product. You can say luck, you can say all of these things. It's a team that doesn't seem like they're playing doesn't seem like they're playing like they're trying to win a Stanley Cup. It seems like they're playing because that's what they're paid to do. Like their job is professional hockey player. I need to show up to the rink. I wear skates. I go around for about 60 minutes, and then I go out on the ice for 20 to 30 seconds, and I go sit on the bench, and then I wait for my next rotation to go out on the ice for 20 to 30 seconds. It's just disappointing because I had a lot of expectations, and after that Winnipeg series, I was picturing some good things in our future, and it's not necessarily as much of a given as I thought it was. It can still happen, still on the table.
It could still happen. I mean the one downfall now. I mean, Brandon just sent me the little thing about Nichushkin being suspended for the next 6 months for his reported failed drug test. So he is out the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. How big of a hit is that going to have?
I'm not even necessarily worried about it for this season. It's now we sunk $8 million into a guy that unfortunately waited till he was paid that much money to prove he's not a reliable teammate.
Yeah.
Talented beyond anything. I've given him the benefit of the doubt, and I thought going through the substance abuse program this year and the way he came back seemed like things were moving in a positive direction, and obviously you only get to see so much.
Right.
It happens. I mean, all professional athletes at some level are trying to figure out a way to circumvent rules. So I'm not going to stand up and say that he's a horrible person and a disgrace. As a person who's played sports and been in locker rooms and like built bonds with people.
Yeah.
If I was in the Avalanche dressing room, I mean, it could be a thing that rallies them because this was supposed to be a guy that was your leader and he was the leading scorer. Like it was the joke a few weeks last week when we had the Stars podcast on. Val scoring at like it's a goal a game, and it's honestly closer to a goal and a half a game.
Yeah.
If I'm a player in the Avalanche dressing room, like the fact that Val cares so little for me, that he went through all of these steps and he's just never available when we need them. You can be the greatest player on the ice, but if you're not available, you're nothing. You're just another name on the list.
Yeah. Real quick score update: the Carolina Hurricanes have taken the lead 2-1 over the New York Rangers with a goal by Jordan Staal and Kuznetsov. So the Carolina Hurricanes now lead 2-1 with 12:38 left in the third period. Trying to stay alive, trying to get out of that elimination, or at least get one more game. That's the hopes. That's the hopes for the Carolina Hurricanes right now. So 2-1 Carolina, 12:22 left in the third. Last question on the Avalanche, Jimmy. Who's got to step up tonight? Who's got to be that guy for the Avalanche to get a win?
I am going to say Casey Middlestat because that's a guy. I feel like he's somebody that I could see fitting into the culture of what the Avalanche want in their locker room. He's young enough. He's already said it's a totally different experience being a professional hockey player in Colorado compared to being a professional hockey player in Buffalo. Like he sweats in practice. He plays really well with Bednar, and he brings some things. Like not everybody has to be a speed demon, and he's not one. He's not necessarily the fastest guy out there. Watching him in person, I will say he's a magician and like the biggest bully. When he gets the puck, he's like your older brother, and he's just holding you at an arm's length the entire time. Like, no. But hey, Mom said it's my turn to. No, I'm not letting you. You can't play with this. It's mine. I don't want you to touch this. This is my puck, and I'm going to send it over to Nathan MacKinnon. Like, who better to play on a line with Nathan MacKinnon than Casey Middlestat, a guy who keeps the puck, can put it deep in your zone near the goal line, and then find you on an open seam pass. Like that's a guy that if he's going to take the step and if we're going to re-sign him, like I do want them to do, I want to see him take a step forward because now we need another role to be filled. We have a big 6'4" Russian hole in our lineup that was producing everything that you wanted. And I did not know that before. Like Brandon sent that. I don't know if you had that beforehand and you just didn't tell.
Just dropped.
It just dropped at 7:45.
How badly like last year it was Ukrainian women and now this year it's PEDs.
Yeah,
it sucks.
So that's a rough one. Rough loss there for the Avalanche going into the.
I will say I just want to put this out there before anything does go wrong. If my teams don't move on, I am fully adopting my Italian New York heritage. Like I'm full Knicks, full Rangers, all the rest of the way.
Oh man.
Because this year has been like such an effort year with everything that's gone wrong with some of these teams. Like, I think back to a couple years ago, and we talked about it recently, where the Avs and Nuggets went on an 8-day stretch where they both got eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, if something like that catastrophic happens again, just to cope with it for my mental health, I'm going full Bronx. I'll bing bong my way all to the NBA Finals, and hopefully they make it there, and I'll be a part of the Empire State Building. I'll be a part of the Empire Mafia over there. I'll be full MSG. That's what I'm going if the Avalanche and Nuggets don't make it past.
That's rough. That's rough. Denver, but hey, at least you got two teams playing in the playoffs right now. That's a one positive. Both Boston and Denver both do, along with New York and Dallas. So at least you got two teams playing in the playoffs right now, and you're not sitting here going, "Well, our baseball team kind of sucks." Well, our hockey team's
Is
okay.
baseball going on right now?
Well, kind of. We don't really know. It's kind of back and forth. They've won one game in 7 days, so.
Oh shit! You guys are like us. Well, are you giving up touchdowns? Our run differential is like touchdown. If an offense scored as many runs as teams scored against the Colorado Rockies, they would be getting.
I don't know. Sometimes it can be.
I don't think it's that bad. But on the positive side, we do have the City Connect jerseys coming out next week, so that's a plus. Anyways, yeah, thrilling. I know. So excited. Any final questions for Jimmy? Anybody?
No, not here, man. Wish you the best of luck. We'll see what happens.
We said it at the beginning of the playoffs. We want both teams to do what's thought of as unthinkable. Like, we want it to be as audacious as possible, because people do not know. Like, I'm a teacher, so I got the summer off, and if that happens, like if the impossible does happen with both teams, and I'm being very purposeful in avoiding what I'm thinking about, if that does happen, I will make Ovechkin's bender after the Stanley Cup parade look like child's play. I may run around like the city of Denver, just like Aaron Gordon last year when he's running home from the NBA Finals. Just it's October, Mr. Pilato. Why do you still have your shirt off? Like, things happened over the summer. It was a pretty awesome summer.
Championships. That's all. It's just
Did you just make the social media like active so you can watch this at the same time? Live feeds.
Oh, well. I don't. It may just have to be like me with a block over my face, but on our podcast channel, like
that's okay.
Like how when other teachers post on social media and they put the blocks over their students' face, I'll have to put it over my face. Like, oh, I can kind of make out who that is, and I know I'll go voice this guy's or two. How about that? Then just nobody can find this episode, and then I'll be gold.
Yeah,
there you go. I like it.
That'll work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, no more questions. Let's move on to Florida, Boston, and let's bring in Hannah too. We're going to talk about some Panthers, Bruins. What a series it's been! Absolutely insane series so far.
What a series it's been.
It's been crazy. So let me get the little thingy going here, and we will get started on some talk. Wow, Jimmy dipped already. I was gonna say bye to him, but God.
Bye, Jimmy.
Yeah, bye, Jimmy. Thanks for coming on. You can find. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but you can find Jimmy at Far Under the Bench. Give them a look. They're really great out of Denver. They cover all Denver stuff. Really, really good. Him and Nico do a fantastic job. So make sure you check them out. I don't know if he's coming back in here or not, but if not, just a shout out for you, Jimmy. There you go. They've been part of with things here at Variety Sports for a while, so I'm glad to have them as a part of things, and it's been great. Hannah, welcome to the Five Hole.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Of course. So my first question to you: 15 shots, 17 shots, 18 shots in the last 3 games. What does Boston have to do to get more pucks on the net?
That's a great question, because like you have Monty and you have the front office. You have Don Sweeney saying we're not a high volume shooting team, and it's quality over quantity. But at some point, if you're just not shooting the puck, you're not getting the goal. And
right.
It's been a running joke all year that our power play is really just a pass drill. we just play this game of pass in a circle around the net for a good 2 minutes.
Right.
I think Zacha needs to step up more. Coyle had his one goal. I don't know. I want to say game 3, but he's kind of been invisible. Marchand had a good stint in the first round. I want to say like games 3, 4, and 5 against the Leafs. He kind of fell off. I mean, we didn't see him in game 4, but I don't know. It's just it's the people that are our leadership core that just kind of has fallen to the wayside, and it's
Right.
It's really the guys that are on like the $1 million contracts or that are the recalls from Providence that have really stepped up and have been a bit more of a presence than like a Pasternak, a Marchand, a Coyle, a Zacha, who are supposed to be our first and second lines, and it feels like they've kind of gone by the wayside.
Gone cold. Yeah, I get that. It makes 100% sense there. By the way, before I move on to things, Jordan Martinic scores 3-1 Carolina, 9:33 left. So Carolina looks like they possibly have a good chance to stay alive. They're a very, very quick scoring team. We've seen it multiple times in the playoffs so far.
Very fast team too.
Very fast, very fast. So, yeah, I would agree. You see names like Carlo, he's scoring goals too. So some of those guys that you wouldn't necessarily possibly think that they would be, the players keeping the team in the game. You're
right.
that Pasternak and some of those other guys that bring that energy to the level that you need at this point in time. And we talked about it. Was it last week, Brandon? Ash, if I thought that the experience of the Boston Bruins was going to help them in this series against Florida, but Florida's just tough.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was 2 weeks ago whenever we were talking, because we weren't sure how this series was going to go against Boston and Florida. Because I think at the time, whenever we talked about it, Boston was in the top 3 in power play and the penalty kill and goals for and goals against. But then this series, it's like they're 5th in goals against, 11th goals for. And they're just, I don't know what it is. It's just, I don't know. It's the physicality of Florida and them just getting under their skin, because Florida is a very good team at getting under the skin of the other team that they're playing against. And you've seen, like, whenever Florida scores goals, they're looking at Boston players like doing anything and everything to try to get under skin, and it's cost them a couple of penalties doing so. Man, it's hurt them a lot.
Yeah. So you got what? See this last game here. It's game 4, right?
Yep.
Game 4. You had 10 penalties total, 6 for Florida, 4 for Boston. Boston went 1 for 4. Florida went 1 for 6. The biggest thing that sticks out to me though is the shots in the third period. Again, it's 13-2 in favor of Florida. But the big thing that happened in that game was and I had a clip of it, but I don't know what happened to it. But it was the goaltender interference. That was goaltender interference 100% according to the rule book. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's 100% goaltender interference. At least in my
eyes. They don't call that goal back.
I don't either.
I don't know. And then you have the bullshit goaltender interference of Geeky getting shoved into Bobrovsky, and that's goaltender interference. And then you have game 3, the game before, you have Lauko, who I don't know what Panthers defenseman it was, but he was trying to circle the net, and he had a defenseman up on his right that just pushed him in, and he converged on Bobrovsky. And again, it's goaltender interference, but like I just don't know what the league expects the Bruins to do in that. So, like, what do you want them to do? Evaporate? Like, I mean, they're pushed straight into the goalie, and there's no way to stop it.
Yeah, because everything you saw is a blatant push from Bennett.
It was a cross check. There was no. It was.
At the least, there should be a penalty for cross checking. Yeah. Not even goaltender interference, but there should have been a penalty right there. It should have been done. But
so it should have evened out. Like, if they're not going to call the goal back, and they're gonna call the delay a game, whatever. But you're not going to give anything to Bennett, especially after what happened in game 3 with Bennett and Marchand, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you got game 5 tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I believe. Who's got to step up for the Boston Bruins?
I'd like to see Zacha do something. He's been demoted to third line center at the moment. Geeky's up top, centering I think DeBrusk and Pastrnak because Marchand's out, so that kind of messes with the whole structure of the lines. But I'd like to see Zacha do just about anything. He's had a few assists here and there, but he's just not. I don't think he's stepped up in a way that's really mattered much.
Right.
I'd like to see Lindholm rally a little bit more. He had a great game 7 against Toronto. And I just feel like as the games in the Florida series have gone on, he's just gotten sloppier and sloppier. Like he's 6'4", 220, and he's afraid to make hits in the corner, and he just kind of lollygags in the corner, and he's not using his body in a way that we've seen him able to do to create space, like the same way like Pat Maroon, for example, he uses his huge body to make space. And maybe he's a little slower, and maybe his puck handling's not top tier, but he's using the physicality that he has to create space and give his line mates a chance to slow things down a little bit and get possession of the puck where it matters.
Yeah.
I think Pasta and McAvoy need to step up a little more too, especially with Marchand out, because if Marchand's traveling, so he might be able to play, but it sounds like it's a head injury, so I'm not certain on that. So if Marchand were in, he'd be a rat. He'd rally. He'd be the guy that we all know that he is.
Right.
And I think Pastrnak did a good job of that in Game 3 with the Tkachuk fight. He did what he could to rally who was left. But I think with them being the alternates, I think they need to try and get the energy up and get the fight, because I mean right now it's Pat Maroon and it's Kevin Shattenkirk who are pumping the team up, and
we shouldn't
Kevin
be
Shattenkirk's
surprised
been here a year, and Pat Maroon's been here for like 5 seconds, and I mean they're great guys, they're great like seasoned guys who've won cups, and they're great. Love having them on the team, and I'd love to see both of them re-signed. But I mean, when your leadership core who's been in Boston their entire career can't rally the guys the same way, it's tough.
Do you think it has to do with the two that is it two? There was 2 that retired this past offseason, right?
Yeah, Bergeron and Krejci.
Yeah. Do you think that has anything to do with things?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Marchand doesn't have no leadership experience. I mean, he was an alternate for a bit underneath Bergeron, but I think it's been a whole new world, like leading his team, especially where he's looked to Bergeron for leadership for the last like 15 years.
Right.
And that was his best friend, and he just had such a strong like leadership presence. So I think losing that in the room in and of itself was a huge hit to not because everyone loves Bergeron. I mean, he was the beloved guy in Boston. And then we lost Krejci, who was fantastic. He centered Pastrnak and Zacha last year, and their line was fantastic. And now you have Zacha trying to play center. I prefer him on the wing. And that just the line chemistry alone has just been a little off, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, those were 2 huge like leadership voices for us, and it's been a really hard hit. And money wise, we're still paying out their salaries, so we're wicked poor too.
Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. So, looking at my next question here is if and I know it's the if being down 3-1, 3-1. It's 3. Yeah, it is 3-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Being down 3-1, if the big question is if they were to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, who would you rather play, New York or Carolina?
Neither. I feel like we would get whipped by the Rangers. I feel like Carolina, we might have a little bit more of a fighting chance, because I think in the regular season we went 0-2 against the Rangers. I think Carolina we went 1-1 with, so I feel like there might be a little more back and forth. I think if we get there, and I think if we see the Rangers, we would get absolutely wiped.
Yeah.
I don't like, that's just a team that I think we get outplayed for. And I love our team, but we're we're a bunch of guys on league minimum $1 million contracts who I mean we've made it way farther than we ever expected. I was excited to get out of the first round and just make it there in general with what we had. But yeah, I just think if we get there, it's not going to be pretty, and I don't know how much many of us want to see it. But,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll wipe the Rangers or the Canes. I don't know.
Hey, you never know. Sometimes it's just that style of play that throws a little wrench into other teams' stuff. James, what's your thoughts so far on the Florida Boston series?
Honestly, like what I think is Florida is playing a bully game and they're winning the bully game. Like Boston, I actually had a lot of high hopes for them. I thought they'd be kind of a dark horse. I know that they're not as good as they have been, but I also think like watching Marchand and Pasta and Coyle and them playing it, they had a great, they just had a great tough style, playing hard hockey and look good. But then they come up against the Panthers, and the Panthers, they're just this team that they will nonstop pick and prod and go after. They get the late shots at the end. They spray snow on the goalie. And, it's a constant movement towards just getting under your skin, and they're winning that game. They're winning the mental game, which is one small part of the reason why Boston's where they are.
Yeah.
And also, the biggest issue that I've seen is like Swayman is just not playing like he was. He's led some of those soft goals. Scratch that bullcrap goal yesterday. Doesn't count in my book, but nonetheless, they need to rally above those things. Like Hannah was saying, like you can't just have, Pat Maroon and Kevin Shattenkirk trying to exercise their former playoff selves to show the skill. Like they're great guys, and I love those guys to death. But it's like you've got to get your big guys in there. That's right, the big rig, baby. You got to get, but you need more guys to do that stuff. It can't just be in that way. And it's been a fun series, but now it's like as much as I'm pulling for Monty to go to that next round because I love Monty. He's my favorite coach. Yeah. And honestly, Boston's always been like kind of a dark horse Eastern Conference team for me all the time, except for 19. I'm sorry, that's different. But nonetheless, like they're at a struggle point, and if they're gonna rally, it's gonna have to be a full team effort. First and second line have got to produce better than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you brought up Swayman real quick. Hannah, do you think they stick with Swayman? You think they'll go Allmark to start?
At this point, I think they've ridden him this far.
You got to stick with the hot hand, right?
Yeah, playing a cold goalie who's had one period of hockey in the last, what is it, like 9 games? Because he played one period at the end of game 2. Mm-hmm. I think starting a cold goalie in any elimination game is stupid. Right. I think. And I mean, I can't complain too hard about Swayman's performance. Thus far, I think he's been a psychopath. There are some goals that have been a little questionable, but it's just half of it's our D just hanging him out to dry, and just
that's true.
The goals over here, and there's Kachuk like center top of the crease, and you have like Lindholm all the way to the blue line. I'm like, what? Where were you going?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I think at this point you just got to stick it and ride it out and just let him do his thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say we have the same kind of issue in St. Louis, but I think it will be the same kind of issue with the way Joe Holker's playing in the World Championships right now. Apparently, he's playing just phenomenal.
Although Benner just played the last game, they said I didn't see the score, but whatever read, he's dominated. He dominated that game. So
they say it sounds like they're both doing fantastic. Same with Parayko too. Surprisingly, I know
he's the captain.
He's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah. That's I like it.
Yeah, we have final score in New York. The Carolina Hurricanes come back to win 4-1.
Wow.
To survive Game 5 to force Game 6 in Carolina.
I think that series is going to go to 7. I think Carolina's going to fight back, and I think they're going to make it to 7.
Yeah. And you've seen how quick they scored. How how quick they scored their goals tonight.
That
And
series
you're
is a lot
forward
closer than what it shows. It's so much closer.
Oh, hell
two overtime series or two overtime games so far in that one as well. So that's all I got on the Bruins Panthers series. So if we want to move to another series, we can. You guys are good with that?
Let's do it. I just thought it was crazy on what game was that was game 2 with all the misconducts and everything. They came out to what, 12 or 13?
I think it was 14 total.
Yeah.
188 minutes in penalties, I think. Something like that.
It was craziness.
Could you imagine if it does get to game 7, what that game 7 is going to be like?
Line brawl at puck drop.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen the slap shot, the last game in slap shot? I think it's going to be like that. That's my guess.
I don't know if I've seen slap shot, to be honest.
What?
You haven't?
I don't know if I have or not.
I just think whoever comes out of this series is just going to be beaten and battered once they play either New York or Carolina. It's just going to be a rough series for that team that comes out of this Florida-Boston series.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see here. You want to talk Canucks Oilers?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right. Very interesting series here with the Canucks and Oilers so far. With the Canucks with a 2-1 series lead. Hannah, thanks for your thoughts and stuff on the Boston Bruins Florida Panthers series so far. So you're happy to stick around if you want to talk some more hockey.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
So 18 shots on goal for the Canucks the other night. They still managed to pull themselves with a 4-3 win over the Edmonton Oilers. Brandon, what's your thoughts? We haven't heard from you much tonight. So what's your thoughts on this series so far?
And it's funny you say that. This was actually the series that I actually wanted to talk about the most because on paper, you look at Edmonton, you think this is probably going to be a team that comes out and probably dominates Vancouver. You have a line that has McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, and just everybody else on this team is just clicking. It seems like they're coming out with the top power play in the entire playoffs at 46% and the second penalty kill. And then to top it all off, in game 1, the Vancouver was able to only keep McDavid to literally no shots on goal.
I don't think there was any shots on goal.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the thing of it all that blows my mind is that the Vancouver is actually leading this series, and that Pettersson actually scored his first goal last night since the 2020 playoffs. That was a stat that I didn't even know about that existed until they actually said it during the game. I was like, holy crap. And I know they've been in the playoffs several years since 2020, and that's just crazy. It's only been 2 years, I think, actually, that they've been in the playoffs. But
yeah, because I think it was the bubble year.
Mm-hmm. But
up in Edmonton.
With how Vancouver is, and I think you, me, and Jerry and Aaron have all talked about it in several shows before, that with how young and diversified that Vancouver was, we weren't sure how they were going to come out and really play in the playoffs. But I mean, seeing how they were playing against LA and seeing how, that was Edmonton. Sorry. Seeing how they came
Nashville.
out and
Against Nashville.
Yeah. Against Nashville. And now how they're playing against Edmonton. I mean, you're seeing a lot of their young talent and even some of their veterans really contributing a lot. Right. And in just the fact that they're playing off their third string goaltender Silovs is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And he's actually doing really well for the team, because I thought once they said Silovs was starting after Patrick Demko and DeSmith was both out, I figured that they were pretty much done. But they somehow rallied together with everything that they've had, and they've been able to keep in this series and winning the series at the moment.
Right. I think it's one of those things, because Casey DeSmith's still dressing, right? He's just not. He's the backup.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where again, kind of the same thing with Boston. You got to win, or not, but you got to go with your hot hand. You got to go with the guy who's
the hot tender.
Playing good. He stopped 42 of 45 shots last night. 45 total shots by the Edmonton Oilers. They only get three in. So you got 11 shots or 9 shots in the first period for Edmonton, 14 in the second, and 22 shots.
Wow.
On net in the third period for the Edmonton Oilers. With 45 total shots, you still walk out with a loss.
And
it's got to be a little disheartening, don't you think?
Crazy to me.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. I think the big thing, and we talked about it last week or the week before, was I think it was last week when we talked about this series before it even started, was how was Vancouver's penalty kill going to handle Edmonton's power play? And they've done it seems like a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, because I think in the Nashville series, didn't they let in a lot of goals in there?
They were 12 on the penalty kill.
Yeah. So I mean, to see how they're doing, still, I mean, Edmonton has gotten a lot of power play goals during this series, but still, the fact that you're coming away with 2 out of the 3 games right now is crazy. But you have a lot of contributors on Vancouver right now that are really coming into their own in the playoffs, and they're really contributing a lot for this team. So it's not surprising that Vancouver is actually winning the series right now.
Yeah, I'd imagine this one does go 7. I don't know how. I could be wrong though.
2-1 right now.
Hannah, what do you think? You think this goes 7 games?
I think this goes 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Oilers are going to fight back next game, and I think they'll come through.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Vancouver though.
Yeah, I think there's that little bit of like underdog with the Vancouver Canucks. It's like, oh, you're playing the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton's like, everybody's, and I wouldn't say everybody's favorite, but a good chunk of people's favorites to win the cup now outside of Florida. So there's that little bit of like, go little guys. Like, it's just Vancouver. Like, So you say go 7, James, or you said 7, James. What do you think it goes?
I think it definitely goes 7, and I am pulling for the Oilers just because these 3 words. I hate Vancouver. Like, I can't stand that team. They drive me up a wall. I've never liked them since the Sedin sisters were in Vancouver, and everyone thought they were so amazing, and they didn't do jack squat. And I don't think that Peterson and whatever these other guys' names, they're not going to beat the 2-headed monster that's Draisaitl and McDavid. They got a 2-1
series lead on them right now.
I don't mean jack squat. So here's the thing. They did 2 things wrong in that last game. Even though they won, they decided to cross-check McDavid. And now one guy got, and one guy got suspended, one guy got fined.
Mm-hmm.
You have probably woken the beast of beasts, like the best player in the NHL, and you just pissed him off. He's going to come in like fire, and all these guys are going to follow him all the way to it. It's going to be a bloodbath. Like, it's not going to be some physical altercation, but Vancouver plays more of a, I don't want to say a rough, they don't ever seem like they play a rough game. They just kind of come out there, they play the defense, they got guys that score. They do a solid game, but Edmonton's game is different. It's more high tempo, in your face. I think once they figure out how to get through the style of defense that Vancouver's playing, it's done. Like, they're gonna come after that. And honestly, part of the reason why the Oilers lost was because Stuart Skinner sucks. So I'm hoping that they decide to go with Picard as their goaltender, because he has, even though he's not great, but he's played better than Skinner has. Yeah. So I'm thinking they go with Skinner in the next game. I think it goes 5. I think it goes 7, and I think McDavid, you might have done the wrong thing here on what you did in that last game. So be ready.
Yeah, he's got 15 assists so far in this, at least in the playoffs.
He's playing.
I almost said this series, but that's ridiculous. 15 assists.
That would have been crazy.
This series.
Yeah.
All right. Overall in the playoffs, he has Zach Hyman with 9 goals as well, and Draisaitl 18 points for the team. So you look on the other side, you got Brock Boeser with 7 goals, JT Miller with 9 assists, and then Brock Boeser also has 11 points, which leads Vancouver in the playoffs so far. What does Vancouver have to do to finish to at least get another win in the next game, Brandon?
Just keep doing what they're doing. If they keep up the physicality that they've had in this series, and if Silovs and their goaltending can keep playing to the level that they're playing, I mean, they've let in 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 goals for Edmonton, but other than that, they're contributing more on offense than what Edmonton has been able to, just because of their goaltending. Their goaltending is what's saving Vancouver for the most part, because Skinner has, as what James said, Skinner has been struggling. And if he is not able to get his shit together for the rest of the series, I mean, you could possibly see Edmonton getting knocked out of the playoffs. And if it happens, it would suck to see, but I mean, the whole thing that a lot of people are wanting to see McDavid get his first championship and everything. If they keep struggling the way they are, then I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see either of these teams getting by the Stars or even Colorado, especially the Stars. I don't see that happening.
I predict the Stars will probably be the team that goes on to the final.
You should have said that when Jimmy was on. Gosh.
I didn't want to say it because I know he is a
Toronto
fan and everything. Now I'll probably get slack for it later on. Whenever he listens over to these shows, I'll probably get a little bit of slack for it later on. But
yeah. Any final thoughts on the Canucks Oilers series so far?
I don't have anything else.
No.
Nope.
Nothing else. I'm still picking the Oilers. I hate to say it. I think it's more of that, like, all right, because ESPN, as soon as the Stanley Cup playoffs are over, ESPN and all them are going to be like, Connor McDavid didn't win again. Is he really the greatest hockey player ever? Like,
if Edmonton is able to get their shit together, I'm saying Edmonton in 6.
Yeah.
Nice.
Edmonton in 6. I like it. I like
Edmonton
it.
6.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it goes. I think it goes 7. I think it'll end up
Vancouver in 7.
Yeah. I think it'll be tough. So, let's finish off with the game that went final not too long ago, and that would be the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes, who stayed alive tonight with a 4-1 win. This has been a fun one. I mean, it's been a fun one. You get 2 overtime games so far in this one. A comeback win by the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. 4 goals in the third period after they were down 1-0 to start the third period. You get 10 shots on goal for the Carolina Hurricanes in that third period. 28 total. So not too bad of a game. It was a big game for Carolina. They really, really needed obviously they had to win. They had to win to stay in. Mm-hmm. Hannah, what are your thoughts on this series so far? How's it been for you? I
mean, I'm not a big Carolina fan. I actually hate the Canes a lot.
A lot of people do, don't worry.
But I have to say I've really been impressed with their goaltender.
Yeah.
Couldn't say his first name, but Kochetkov.
Yeah.
Big fan of his. I think he's made some great saves, and I think he's a big reason that they're still in it. He kept the Rangers to 1 tonight, which I think was big. Who'd the Rangers have in?
Anderson played goal tonight.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
Freddie.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was surprised too. I thought they would go back to.
He played last game, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. Who did the Rangers have in net tonight? Shesterkin or Quick?
Oh, it's Shesterkin.
Shesterkin, yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a Shesterkin fan. I've been impressed with what he's done too. I mean, I guess not tonight, but
I said probably the first game. This is his first game, I think, in the playoffs so far that he's allowed more than 3 goals.
Oh wow!
And surprise, the last person to do that, the last goalie to do that was his backup, Jonathan Quick.
Wow.
So it's rather interesting. I think pretty sure that's what the stat was. It was something on that line of like he hadn't like the Shester's he hadn't allowed 3 or more goals in any of his starts in the playoffs up until tonight. So just a thought. It's just something that came across my head. So what James, you look at this series, it's been a close series. The Rangers have been a little lucky to say. Maybe just a little.
I think so. I definitely think so. It's this honestly, this could easily be whoever wins this is going to Stanley Cup Finals in the Eastern Conference. Maybe even the championship. It's a possibility.
Ooh.
Just saying. Just my opinion. You know, so don't have to come after me too much. But
I don't know. I'm just saying Florida. That Florida.
Yeah, I know, but Bobrovsky. Never mind. Either way, like this is a battle of two very evenly matched teams.
Yeah, I'd agree
And
with that.
the difference lies here is, the Rangers have played a little more of a better physical game, which has led to better chances, better opportunities, and that's how they squeaked out those couple wins.
Yeah.
You see in this game now, to me, this was a bona fide Carolina win because they played with that up-tempo forward style that they play. It's always like they are, where, you're saying Boston is like quality, not, quality, not quantity. Whereas, the Hurricanes are basically like Gatling guns, shoot whatever you can at everything and blow it all away and see what happens. That's what they do. May not always count shots on goal, but they're always getting shots towards the net, which leads to great chances at rebounds. And, tonight, like I said, this team played the right way, and that's how they got this win. They earned it. They deserved it. Now, it moves back to Carolina for Game 6, and the Rangers are, I don't know if they're really on their heels per se, but it's definitely probably feeling a little more pressure. Like, okay, we got to close this out, or it's hard to say if they'll win Game 7. Like, if the momentum stays on in Carolina, they may go on.
Yeah, and you go up 3-0 early in this series, and you've lost the last 2.
Yeah,
that the momentum shift has got to be. It's noticed.
Yeah.
It's noticeable now.
Yeah,
that Carolina has the momentum in this series, which could be a scary thing. I mean, again, they scored 4 goals like that tonight, and it's not the first time we've seen this Carolina Hurricanes team do this.
Yeah,
was it?
They're on the third period, all of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
it was round 1 when they played the Carolina, or not the. I must say, the Carolina Hurricanes played the Carolina Hurricanes in round 1. No, the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
You saw that they were down 2-1. It was. I think that's what it was. Was it, Frank? Because we were actually live when it happened.
Yeah.
They were down 2-1. Next thing you know, it was 5-3 or 5-2 was the final score.
Right.
Just like that quick.
Yeah.
They scored 4 goals, 3 goals to end up winning the game and moving on. So a little disappointing on the Islanders side, I'm sure, but that's old news. We ain't got to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, I don't even remember the Islanders anymore. So.
Yeah, it was a quick series. 5 games, 4 games, 5 games,
4,
5.
4, 5.
5.
It goes.
5.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it went 5. I thought the Islanders got 1 in Carolina.
I don't know. Have we had a sweep this in these playoffs?
I don't.
Rangers round 1.
Rangers round
Was
1.
it Rangers?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
over
right,
the
because they went 7-0.
Oh, they played Washington.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I did forget about it. Again, shows you just how quick you forget about series in the first round if they go fast as well. So Brandon, my question to you for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
How big is it moving on, getting a win today, going back to Carolina for Game 6? How big is that for them?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, to get out of an elimination game in New York, because, I mean, New York is they have a lot, their fans they have a lot of attitude in New York, and they will show it in the stands. And, I mean, it is a very hard arena to play in, and for them to come out and win against Florida, that is huge. And then to be going home for Game 6, I mean, with the win tonight, they could have potentially shifted the momentum in their favor. And if they win on Thursday against New York again and tie the series, they could possibly come out and win Game 7, I think.
Did they not play till Thursday?
Yep.
Wow. I guess that makes sense. You get the travel day, but we haven't seen that too often so far in the.
It's probably to even up the series is because they've been ahead of the second round for a while. They started before round 1 even finished. So
surprise! You get one game on Wednesday night. One game. That's it.
Yep.
They need to do what they do in the regular season, and they need to start doing some back-to-backs just for the heck of it, just to add a little bit of spice to the playoffs. That would be a blast. That would be a absolute blast. Back-to-back home games. You imagine you're down 2-0, you come back home down 2-0, you get back-to-back home games. Oh man, that'd be a blast.
It'd be a good time. I'd enjoy it.
It could be either an early exit for the team that
right.
down or a quick back turnaround.
Right. Yeah. You go back. You go back to the other arena tied 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would like that or not.
No.
I don't know if I like that or not.
I think you do that if you don't do it in the second or third round. Or in the conference finals, you do that in the first round if you're going to do back-to-backs. I got off topic, my bad.
It's all good.
Running with it now. If you do back-to-back games, it's got to be in the first round.
I would agree.
Just for shits and giggles.
I want to see that,
especially with it being late in the playoffs like it is. I wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, the playoffs take a while.
Yeah,
we've already been talking about it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we're not even halfway done.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
some teams might be done soon.
Right. But, when you have a team that didn't make the playoffs, and we're talking about teams that are in the playoffs, it's a little heartbreaking. So
yeah,
that's why I say.
Especially when you get booted out by a team that shouldn't even be in the playoffs anyways. But
exactly.
No, Vegas. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's me. That was Anyways, any final thoughts? I know that last one went a little quick. Any final thoughts on the Hurricanes Rangers series?
Nothing
else. I ain't got any other questions for it either.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. They avoided elimination in Game 5. That's about it. That's all I really need to know. They scored four goals in the third period. Momentum shift is back in Carolina's favor, and they avoided elimination for the first time. Second time. Second time.
Right.
Yeah.
In round 2. And they'll get another one on Thursday night. So it'll be a fun one. That should be a good game as well. Any final thoughts on the playoffs so far?
Be interesting one.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how round 2 ends and who advances.
Yeah.
I'll say this. It makes me more and more than ever. I want to see the referees be put to the besides that. But no, I think they need to I think they need to hold questions from the press. Players get to do it, coaches have to do it. I think more than ever, it's time for the NHL to start allowing these referees to be like, all right, sit down, start answering some questions. Yeah. Why did you allow this to happen when in the rule book this isn't supposed to happen? Why wasn't this guy penalized, but this guy was? Like, give them 5 minutes. Let's see how they explain themselves. It's time for this. It's time for some transparency. Say, screw it. I don't understand how umpires and referees, how they're all pretty much behind closed doors. Like it's like the Catholic Church runs the referees. I don't understand it. It's ridiculous.
Here's how that would happen though. You get the player interviews and the coaches interviews would last 2 seconds. They'd be like, "Oh, hey, coach, how did the game go today?" It's fine. It's fine. We don't even need it. We don't even need your answer tonight. We know how. Let's go talk to Wes McCauley about why he made that call in the second period when the other team was up 2-1. We're gonna go talk to Wes, see what his thoughts on that. That would become more important than talking to the players and the coaches about how the game went.
It would last twice as long.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's face it. When it comes to some of these interviews and stuff, unless a team wins, they're a little high on that win. a lot of these guys are like, we just got to take this one game at a time and do it the best we can. That's all we can do.
But yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
We know
It's
what
the
we need
same
to do.
answer.
We just got to rally and get it
We
done.
just got to rally our team and do better.
Do you
than
know what you need to do? Because it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
That's literally that's exactly how coaches how those things go. It's like, Coach, how do you what do your team got to do to win the next game? It's like, we just got to play better.
Once in a
You gotta
great
plan.
while,
Yeah.
a coach either drinks something or smokes peyote, and they answer something like comes out of nowhere. But normally,
Like
just
that very short time they get in between.
yeah, whatever they do, every once in a while I get some like off the wall answer, like, wow, he said something different. But like really though, if anything, the referees have got to be held accountable for some of these infractions. The officiating has been atrocious
All
And
year.
Especially where like
It's been that way.
consistency
all year. The
on calls has been
right.
All,
right.
like, get me a definition of what goaltender interference is,
Oh,
because
I
it's called
have it.
so different. Like you have a call that's identical to the Bennett goal last night. That
Right.
was called 2 weeks ago as goaltender interference. Literally textbook, the exact
Here-
same thing happened,
Exactly.
and it was called back. And
Here's your rules definition of goaltender interference, by the way. For anybody listening who doesn't know, if a defending player has been pushed, shoved, or fouled by an attacking player so as to cause the defending player to come into contact with his own goalie, such contact shall be deemed contact initiated by the attacking player for purposes of this rule. And if necessary, a penalty assessed to the attacking player. And if a goal is scored, it would be disallowed.
I've read that definition more times in the last
Straight
24 hours.
In the rule book.
It's ridiculous. That's all anyone's posting on Twitter right now.
I'm gonna read this real quick. This is from the Athletic talking. So Don Sweeney, Hannah, that he called out, saying we need transparency, which I agree with. So the NHL released a statement regarding this whole shindig. The NHL released a statement after Sam Bennett's game time power play goal was upheld. The shove by Bennett on Coyle per the league and the subsequent contact on Swayman did not prevent the goalie from playing his position in the crease prior to the Florida center's goal. However,
That's a joke, right?
that's what they said. And then it said the statement was unsigned, like basically saying, hey, intern Johnny, write this BS and send it. Like, this is what we get. Like, this is what we get from the NHL. Like, I
got Coyle laying on top of Swayman. Like on his back.
But hey, that's not impeding the game at all.
It's not impeding at all.
I don't know.
It's like, I don't
Hey,
know.
it's just as bad as the Vancouver and Edmonton series. You can get away with a high stick and everything, but you can't get away with you can get away with a slew foot as well, but you can't get away with some of these other penalties. It's like that's crazy.
I mean, it
doesn't make sense.
I don't care who you're a fan of, and I would complain the same way. Like if I saw, like I complained back in 2019 during the hand pass between San Jose and the St. Louis Blues.
Awful too.
It was awful, but again, I can't say, well, this is the reason why these guys lose. But I think there needs to be a level of accountability. I think the referees need to be judged higher, and they need to be put under the microscope a lot more by the league. And I hope after this season, I pray after the season, they actually say, okay, yeah, maybe we need to do something.
Yeah. I would agree. I think so they got to figure something out. You just got to level the playing field. Not level the playing field, but make it everybody knows what's going on.
Right.
All your referees before the start of the season, they all know the same exact thing.
Yep.
And again, what we saw in 2019 when the Blues played the Sharks is that they lit the Blues on fire because they were just absolutely just
oh, that was it. It was war.
And I mean, that's a good possibility that happens here.
Right.
A good possibility.
I like to see it. Like I want to see Pat Maroon go to the Panthers bench just like he did at San Jose and just go, you guys are effed. Like I want to see that. Like I would cheer, up and down if he does that and they go on to force game 7. It'd be awesome.
It makes it so hard right now because I want to root for Pat Maroon, but I don't want. I'm sorry, Hannah. I don't want to root for the Boston Bruins.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I won't hold it against you.
But if it makes you happy, at least in some way, I do have this wonderful, fantastic.
What?
Oh, I love that jersey. That's one of my
legit.
favorites. So
I'm digging that.
So it's Tyler Seguin, so I can't really say a whole bunch, but
fair enough.
just dropped a can. Anyways, we'll wrap things up and get out of here for tonight. Hannah, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. More than welcome to come on at any other point in time if Boston's able to move on, or even next week or whatnot, or even just to come talk hockey. So
for sure. Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Yeah, glad to have you, Brandon James. I'll see you next week. I don't have to be nice to you. So.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I just kidding. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And anybody who's watching, thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you go do everything that you do for all the other big time sports things too. Okay, like it, share it out. We really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next week right here on the Variety Sports Network on the 5-Hole.